Hey guys, today we're taking a look at the 40th anniversary version of the Liger Zero. This is the second in what looks like it's going to be a series of 3 new Liger models. The first one was the Blade Liger, and you can find my review of that one at the link that's just popped up in the top right. Let's take a look at this one.
Shop.
Alright, so we'll start with the box, and I'm not going to spend forever on this because as you can see I have kind of a crappy setup here because this thing again is so big that it's knocking things off my table from the sound of it. So on the front here we have a very similar design, of course, to the Blade Liger box. It's a portrait orientation, and you have the Liger Zero here sort of photographed mostly from above. We can see here that apparently it has light up strike laser claws, he says, cringing. We've got the 40th anniversary of Zoid's emblem here. On this side it just says Liger Zero. On this side as well, a peekaboo here. This isn't going to look very good, so you know there's the face here, and it says Liger Zero, and there's the same thing on this side. Just take my word for it, it's not going to look good if I hold it up to the camera anyway. And then here we have the same design, of course, as with the Blade Liger. Notice that there's no glare. The back of this is actually more sort of a matte finish, which looks really nice, I have to say. So we've got the Liger Zero here, seen from the front and from the back. This is, again, of course, the angle that makes the head look bigger than it really is. On the bottom here, we have the usual stuff indicating, you know, that it walks. The claws light up, the eyes apparently do, and there's more light up gimmicks here, and the boosters here for the back can be opened and extended. And here on the bottom there's a picture of the model with all of the, hold on, let's see if I can show you this a little better. There's a picture of the model with all the armor bits removed, and it looks to me, if you look here, like the light up claws are actually interchangeable with regular ones. Interesting. Anyway, yeah, that's the box. Let's take a look what's in here. Right, so as with the Blade Liger, the big box is definitely not just for show. You can see here, this thing is completely packed. There's a ton of parts here. So I'm gonna rip off the instructions for a second, which are actually, you can see they were taped to the tray in a way that they end up being bent, which is kind of silly because they would have fit on here just fine like this. We get rid of those for a second because we're going to do a parts list comparison with the Blade Liger in a second. We'll get this out of the way as well so that we can take a look at the individual parts, which are, first of all, we have a display base, of course. Seems to be the exact same thing as the display base that came with the Blade Liger, surprising no one. And then here we have a whole bunch of armor parts, and I actually want to see this because I'm wondering about the color of this. Yeah, this seems like a pretty accurate sort of, you know, Liger Zero off-white color, lots of pre-painted stuff here with this gunmetal stuff here in the middle, and for these air intakes. And we have this black sprue. We've got more painted parts here and here on these, which honestly I'm not even sure where they go. Probably on the boosters. Next, there's this small bag here with what looks to be oh, this is okay, cool. Yeah, this is worth looking at. This is an ankle, basically, and an inner part for a foot. And what you do is, here's the sprue with the clear claws, and obviously these go on here, and then you can switch this on here once you've put a battery inside anyway, because there is a little switch here and a light here, so there is going to have to be some way that you, oh, there's a screw here, yeah, bet you that comes off, and then you put a battery in there. I'm not going to do that now though, because I just want to take a look at the parts. I'll show you how that works afterwards in the photo booth, as usual. Here we have a back that I can't open without making a fool of myself. Black part, oh no, look, more pre-painted stuff. This is the jaws, obviously, the teeth are painted gold. We have, this is the cockpit canopy, which is, as you can see, molded in clear orange, and then they painted the top part gunmetal because it looks better and also probably also helps prevent light leaking. And then this is the pilot seat. And here we've got these hard plastic caps that the Masterpiece kits come with. These are also mechanical pieces that help, or just they're part of the Masterpiece construction. And like I said, here are the clear claw pieces if you want to do the whole light up strike laser claw thing. If you're a fan of New Century Zero, which I think we've established I'm not, cue the angry comments. Next is this bag right here, which has a bunch of gunmetal mechanical pieces. I think this is the cannon for the tail. This is the inside of the boosters. We have more armor, tons of detail everywhere, of course. These are the inside parts that go on the, like the shoulders, sort of. I'll be curious to see when we do the parts comparison with the instructions later, how these compare to the ones on the Blade Liger. Here we have the Masterpiece style caps, and no real need to take all this out. And here are the mechanical bits for the legs. Every single one of these has a gold painted section on it. Fantastic, I have to say. Also looks like a really nice gold collar. Here is the, the gearbox, which no doubt is just a standard Masterpiece gearbox minus the fancy movement and sound mechanics. It's probably just going to walk like its predecessor. And then a couple more sprues here before we're done. Here we have more armor for the head, the wings on the side, the feet, a lot of small armor pieces. They really broke up the armor on the Liger Zero into a lot more smaller pieces than the original. This is the claws. I'm going to say it's an okay looking gold collar. I'm generally never a fan of molded metallic gold, but this looks, I guess I would say, acceptable. It's not beautiful, but it's all right. Here we have more mechanical bits for the legs. And then the last parts bag, which I'm going to, excitingly enough, open up on camera, has these standard mechanical bits that make up the legs mostly, and some stuff on the sides of the torso. This is just standard Masterpiece stuff. More standard Masterpiece mechanical bits. And here is the last sprue of armor. This is, of course, for the legs. This is the top of the head, sides of the head, and some other small pieces. So the conclusion for now, before we start doing the parts comparison, is that there are so many small armor bits here that I'm actually not sure what's what, despite the fact that I've built, I think, 3 Liger Zeros. 2 Tomy ones and a Kotobukiya one. So you would think I would recognize all this, but I don't. I'm also talking while I'm making noise putting these parts back into the box. Why don't we take a quick break and then we'll take a look at these parts lists. All right, so first of all, the stickers. This is of course what you'd expect. There's this emblem here that I don't recognize because it's something from New Century Zero, no doubt. The rest is just, it's the standard Liger Zero markings, right? And here we have one that just says Liger Zero that you put on the display base. Now, let's look at this parts list here. I have the Liger Zero here and the Blade Liger right here. And we can see that this is totally different. The A sprue here has these leg parts, but none of all this stuff. The B sprue is identical. Again, hold on. Blade Liger here, Liger Zero in my hand. C, hold on, B2 seems to be the same. C, also completely different. D is identical. And then F, and this, and G, and H, of course, yeah, that's when the armor pieces start. So those look different, of course. But I am a little surprised by the differences in the mechanical sprues. And that can only mean, folks, that we're going to have to take a look at the masterpiece instructions. All right, quick flex. Blade Liger, Shield Liger, Saber Tiger. So let's see here. This A sprue looks nothing like the one on the Saber Tiger. And it also looks nothing like the one on the Blade Liger. I mean the Shield Liger. C also completely different. And what else did we say was different? I think that's it, right? Yeah, F and G are identical. All right, so let's take a look here at the no. Saber Tiger also has this A sprue. This one's different. B is different. And C completely different. And let's just take a quick look again at the Blade Liger, because this appears to be the yeah, so the A sprue on the Blade Liger is this. Yeah, this is, see, the Shield Liger. This is the Blade Liger, this is a Shield Liger, this and this is the same. B is the same. C is this on the Blade Liger is identical to the Shield Liger, and then it just doesn't use a whole lot of these parts. So basically what that means is that the Liger Zero has a mostly, or almost, it might actually be completely new A sprue. B sprue is the same as the old ones, and the C sprue is pretty much completely different because this is what came with all the others, and this is the redesigned version. And you can see here, like, this piece here has been changed into this. So yeah, definitely some I mean, these aren't huge parts updates, I wouldn't say, but more of a difference to the other models than I would have expected, and makes me wonder what's coming with the Murasame Liger. But anyway, you know what's going to happen now. I'm going to turn this pile of parts on the floor next to the chair I'm sitting on that you can't see into this, and and then we're going to take a look at it in action. First off, because I complained about the proportions of the blade Liger in that review, here's a side view of the Liger Zero to give you an idea of what it really looks like. Of course, unlike the blade Liger, the Liger Zero isn't meant to have a particularly big head in the first place, so this one looks a lot better. And speaking of the blade Liger, here's the first comparison shot we gotta do. Not much to say here other than what I've already mentioned about the size of the blade Liger's head, really. Here's my preposterously yellow Tomy Liger Zero. One thing that really stood out for me here is that I'm always surprised when I go back to them by how weird the short torso of the Tomy Ligers looks. I'm sure some of you don't like the elongated masterpiece torsos, but I really think it's an improvement. The Tomy version's front and rear legs are so close together it always looks like it's sort of weirdly hunched over, for lack of a better word. I don't know. And then there's the HMM version, of course. It doesn't really show in this picture because of the pose, but the HMM version's torso is really spindly to help with the posability, and I think the new one strikes a much better balance in terms of proportions. Of course, because it doesn't have to bend his torso, right? And speaking of yellowed things, and for no good reason, here's my King of Flexible Mobile Liger Zero. This was a short-lived series of partly die-cast posable action figures from Tomy at a smaller scale, and I'm just showing it off because I wanted to show you all the Liger Zeros I have. There's some weird versions from Hasbro as well, but I don't have any of those. One pretty neat gimmick is how the boosters work. They have this simple mechanism that makes the actual boosters come out when you lift up the armor piece on top like so. The wings on the side also fold out, by the way, I just didn't film that. The cockpit is also pretty cool. There's this bar that goes over the pilot to hold him in place. What you can't see here is that there's a piece of blue tack on the bottom of the cockpit hatch because it doesn't close properly without it. And here are those light up claws. They don't look like much this way, but with the light in the photo booth off, they're actually pretty cool. It's not this intense in real life, and it's a bit hard to represent that accurately in photos, but I'm pleasantly surprised. And here it is in motion on the display stand, which always looks better than when you have it actually walking. I also filmed the Saber Tiger like this for my Blade Liger review, so go check that out if you want to see how it compares. Here's what that looks like with the feet on the ground. Like I said, I actually think it looks better on the display stand. There's a lot of that old school type wiggle going on here, and the way it tracks its front feet just isn't particularly convincing. Notice also that the damn thing is so big that it's basically impossible to film in my photo booth, but, well, I tried. So I'll start with my complaints, and I mostly just have one, which is the overall manufacturing quality of this kit. I already mentioned that the cockpit doesn't close properly, but there's also a lot of flash all over this thing, and the pre-painted sections aren't always as clean as you'd like them to be. It's also worth mentioning that if you do panel lines like I did here, you want to be careful if you're using alcohol to wipe away the excess. The factory paint reacts with it, so make sure you don't get any panel liner on the painted sections because you don't want to have to wipe it off. Speaking of the panel lines, by the way, I always forget that Tomy's plastic has this weird porous quality to it, so if you do the panel lining straight onto the bare plastic like I did here, sometimes it won't wipe off completely. In all honesty, I'd recommend you do a gloss coat first and then matte varnish over it. I just forgot this might be a problem because I've done panel lines on bare plastic on all my real grey Gunpla kits and it's never been an issue, but Tomy's plastic is different. Anyway, enough complaining. The real takeaway here for me is that this is my favorite version of the Liger Zero, plain and simple. The original Tomy one looks too short, the Kotobukiya version is too spindly, and with this one they finally nailed it. Other than the QC issues, I also think it's overall just a better kit than the Blade Liger, not only because the proportions work better, but also because they put more effort into replacing some parts to make it look like its own thing. There's the stuff I mentioned in the unboxing, but the tail is also completely unique, as you can see. You might also remember I complained about the stickers that came with the Blade Liger being the same old thick plastic film that Tomy used 20 years ago, and they actually fixed that with this one. I knew the stickers were going to look better just because the armor's white, but they're also much thinner and cut better, so that's another big improvement. So yeah, I'm definitely pleasantly surprised by this one. I mean, would I have preferred to see updated versions of some Dinosaurozoids instead of the 11 billionth series of Ligers? Sure. But once you get past that, there's just really no doubt in my mind that this is the best Liger Zero we've ever seen. And I'm including the recent Bondi one in this, even though I've only seen photos because it seems to have similar proportions to the HMM. This one's definitely a winner, and it's a big step up from the Blade Liger too. Well, and that's it for this one. If you're into Zoids and you like this review, I've got tons more like it on my channel, so you should really be subscribing right about now, and give the video a like while you're at it. I also have Patreon and PayPal links in the description below if you want to support me, or you can just leave the ads playing while you walk to the fridge or something, that helps too. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.